Hello, friends. I hope you are able to see me. Hello, friends, seekers, and fellow travelers. My name is Jagannath Kerri. I'm speaking to you from my home in Cupertino, California. This is my first time doing a streaming live, so I'm a bit nervous, as you can imagine. Hopefully, you'll be able to ignore my silly mistakes. I'm asking my master, Ishu Puriji, whose beautiful picture you see here next to me, to accompany me in this satsang. What is a satsang? Why do we have these satsangs? Satsang is where you talk about truth, where you remember your beloved master. Because master is an embodiment of truth. He is a manifestation of truth. And the truth is that he is one with totality of consciousness. A master who always held totality of consciousness in his head at all the time. When he talked from all levels. He was present at all levels. This is our first satsang under ISHA since our beloved master last spoke. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, at least in USA, and in some other parts of the country, probably it is Valentine's Day. So what better time to remember him and offer him our satsang as our love and devotion. I know it has been difficult for me, it has been difficult for a lot of us who were Ishwaji's disciples, who used to look forward to him speaking, for us to move forward as we all have begun to miss him. A master who was one with totality of consciousness, of course, is present even now and is calling us inside. Our seeking has tremendously increased with his passing, and his message is even more potent today. This is why it is important to have satsang and remember him. A short while back, in fact, almost 6 months back now, when Ishwaji was around in his physical body, he asked me to perform some seva for him by becoming chairman of Dera Building Committee. The Dera Building Committee, DBC for short, is an organization that is constructing a meeting hall in Bruce, Wisconsin, for disciples to gather and have satsang. At present, Ishwaji's disciples don't have a permanent home or a place similar to Dera in Beas to gather and have satsang. So DBC has been working on projects to bring beloved Master Ishwaji's dream of building a Dera to fruition. Beloved Master Ishwaji predicted that future masters will give lectures here in Bruce Meeting Hall when it is completed. When the meeting hall is completed, all Ishwaji's devotees, disciples, are going to dedicate that building to his master, Huzur Maharaj Baba Sawan Singh Ji. And the meeting hall is going to be called Dera Baba Sawan Singh Ji, USA. Before Ishwaji left his physical body, he asked me to perform another seva for him by becoming chairman of ISHA. Ishwaji founded ISHA, his organization, to spread the teaching of Master Huzur Maharaj Baba Sawan Singh Ji. Beloved Master Ishwaji, he came to USA to take a ringside seat to watch Huzur Maharaj's predictions come true. What were his predictions? His predictions were that axis of spirituality is going to shift from east to west in a big way. East was aspiring to get all kind of creature comforts of life, wealth, and wanted to mimic West. Whereas West, although it had experienced a lot of wealth, creature comfort, was still missing something. Ishwaji had overheard great master talk to Julian Johnson and tell him that axis of spirituality is going to shift from east to west, and he was there in Dera Beas to take some of these teachings back to West. So beloved Master Ishwaji came to USA as there were seekers ready to receive his messages. As they say, when the chela is ready, Master appears. Seems like that's what happened. As you may have already seen how beloved Master Ishwaji constantly traveled and lectured. He probably traveled around the world 100 times, probably more than anybody I know. In fact, Ishaji narrated this story about his mother's dream. When his mom was pregnant with him, she saw a dream where there was a doll on top of the mantelpiece on the on the fireplace, and the doll started moving, and it raised its hand like this and started giving lecture. So she narrated this dream to Huzur Maharaj Sawan Singh Ji, and Sawan Singh Ji said that yes, the boy you are about to have has been lecturing in the past and still going to lecture in this life as well. And that is exactly what beloved Master Ishwarji has been doing throughout his life. Actually, that reminds me another story that I heard recently directly from him. Some of other satsangis also heard this. There was a person in Canada, and he had heard about Ishwarji giving long lectures. And he knew that Ishwarji could talk at length without stopping, without any break, without, in fact, any sleep. So he asked his friends, "Would you like to meet such person who doesn't need a sleep?" And his friends were, of course, excited. And so this person called Ishwarji to come over and give some talk. So this was a small bunch, few people just gathering in a house. So they all formed a circle. Ishwarji came and sat amongst them, and Ishwarji started giving lecture. And the lecture went on and on. So what Ishwarji said was he noticed that in the circle, people were moving in and out and going away. And so that kept happening. And so he was a bit surprised. What's going on? Are these people not listening to the lecture? They are not interested in what I had to say? So at some point he stopped. He asked his host, "What is going on? Is the lecture not interesting?" His host asked him, "Do you know what day it is? Do you know how long you have been here?" He then told him that he has been here for 7 days, continuously giving the talk. Can you imagine? And then Ishwarji then realized. He got up, he booked a flight back to New York, and he checked himself in for 3 days into the hotel, gave instruction to the folks in hotel not to bother him, not to disturb him, not to give him food, but keep the food outside. So was Ishwarji's dedication to his master's message, that he would forget everything. He touched many hearts. He initiated so many disciples. What does initiation mean? It means that taking responsibility of each soul and giving him company all the way back to Sachkhand. And that was Ishwarji's promise by initiating disciples. The way I see it is, he came to this country to fulfill the prophecy of Huzur Maharaj Baba Sawan Singh Ji that he had predicted a while back. A few months back, before he left his body, he had a meeting with me. He told me that he had done everything that his master wanted him to do. Now that he had turned 94-year-old, he had to see what else had to happen. That's when he revealed to me that he wanted me to carry on his work. And I was so shocked. I could have never imagined in my wildest dream that this kind of huge responsibility would be on my shoulder. I mean, he expressed that as well about himself, that he was shocked as well. Well, I'm not a good speaker, as you can see. I must be looking pretty nervous right now. I have never streamed anything live, much less on YouTube. I'm just like a regular guy, a software engineer, a manager living in California. Yes, I have given some technical talks on subjects that I'm completely familiar with, that I worked on for years. So I can have that confidence to talk. But this is not my forte. So hopefully all of you watching online can forgive my silly mistakes. I have indeed prepared some notes, and as I talk to you, I'm looking at some of those notes so that I can actually deliver this in a meaningful way. And of course, I would not claim to have any access to higher regions. I'm not a master. I'm just a disciple like you. I'm a seeker just like you. I'm walking on the same path as you. I did have curiosity, probably like most of you, as to what is this creation about? What is this life about? I was in pain to understand. what's going on. So in my quest, I also read a lot of books. Some books on non-duality, got initiated by few masters, yoga masters, to try their approaches, what they had to offer. And I did try. And as far as why Ishwaji chose me to carry on this teaching, I think I have some idea. I'll tell you about it. You saw him, tirelessly giving lectures, inspiring seekers to go inside. He lectured throughout his life on monthly satsang and other events to hammer this message of going inside. He toured so many countries every year and taught great masters teaching to seekers, asking him to come and give lectures. I remember in quite a few business meetings, in fact, the subject would eventually turn into spirituality, and then he would go on talking about spirituality with so much enthusiasm. He used to say that business was just a reason for friends to have satsang. That kind of thinking amazed me. I mean, it resonated so much that he would say that you have to be thinking about your master or spirituality throughout, every second throughout your life. This is not just you sit in a meditation for a couple of hours and then forget about spirituality completely. So he actually practiced that in his life. He in fact often said when his satsang would end that people would text him, send him mails about things that they noticed during satsang, how beautiful his shirt was, how colorful his jacket was, how handsome he looked, how sharp he looked, how he didn't look like 90 plus year old. Even Ishuji's wife used to ask people attending satsang as to what they heard in the satsang. Different people gave different answers that did not seem to correlate at all with what was the message in the satsang. And they used to come there to eat good food that was being served in satsang. And so Ishwaji was amazed as to how the message was being received by different people. So my take is that he's probably playing a little mischief here. He's playing little game with all of you who have not absorbed his message of going inside. I think he created duality opposite for folks like you who don't get to go inside. How? You might ask. By putting me directly here to deliver this message to you. Look at me. You cannot have any distraction by looking at me. You probably are looking at his picture still. And you'll be missing him. You'll be forced to go inside and find your beloved master's radiant form. I think he was a clever guy. Right in front of us, he showed us how to experience duality or opposite. And that was his message as well. That go inside and then you will realize that all you experience outside is made out of opposites. This is all duality, and this is all unreal. Like so many of you, I found him on YouTube as well. At least I feel that my mind tells me that I found him, but I'm pretty sure he was the one creating coincidence to find him. I remember this story of a few blind men in a room trying to look for a door to get out. All of them were trying hard to find the door. A man with the eye who had compassion sees all these blind guys trying to find the door. And the guy who could see, he led one of the blind guys to the door. And then the blind guy says, I found the door, I found the door. Blind man didn't realize it wasn't him who found the door. I think such is our condition. We give too much credit to ourselves. I think it was Master all the way who found me. Finding him totally changed my life. I'm pretty sure it changed life for all of you. I could not get enough of his talks. I would have his talks on and on. When I found him, me and my family were hooked on. We loved how clearly he spoke. In fact, it even today surprises me when I forward some of his videos to my friends. And some of these videos don't resonate with them. They don't find it interesting. They do not understand what he's talking about. So it seems like it is just meant for few marked souls. I used to love how easy his message was, how spellbinding and mesmerizing his lectures were. Loved the confidence with which he spoke. Loved the variety. Of course, most of the people loved the funny jokes, including the adult ones that he used to give during his lectures. How he could narrate the same story over and over without missing a single part. As this went on, internally I grew desperate to personally meet him. Finally, I got a chance to meet him in person in February of 2014 in Southern California in Huntington Beach. I remember seeing him walk slowly into the hall where he was about to give lecture. Something happened to me at that time. I just walked out of my seat as he was walking towards the podium and quickly went and touched his feet. It surprised me as well. I don't know how this happened. It was so unlike me. I remember a story of Ramakrishna Paramhans, who was a great saint in eastern part of India, who was a master of Swami Vivekananda, who you might have heard about, who gave a lecture at Parliament of Religion in Chicago. He was another great yogi who had come 120 years back. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa was a proponent of self-realization through bhakti, love and devotion, and Gyan Marg, which is a knowledge path. And he talked about non-duality or Advaita Vedanta. So I used to read some of his books. I read one story where there was a satsang, and following the satsang, there was a bhakti chant. In those days, people used to sing and dance about devotion to their master. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa was devotee of Kali, a form of a Shakti. And so as the bhakti chant was going on, a lot of devotees of Ramakrishna Paramahansa saw who was amongst them, who was amidst them as an avatar or God. They could see Ramakrishna Paramahansa taking that form. And one by one, they touched Ramakrishna Paramahansa's feet. It turned out that there was a reluctant soul who was hesitating quite a lot because of his ego, because of his educational background, because there was something called Arya Samaj, which was focused on individual identity, focusing on their mind, knowledge, and so on. So he was not willing, because of his ego, to gather enough courage to go near Ramakrishna and touch his feet, because he thought that his friends would notice him touching Ramakrishna Paramahansa's feet. And so Ramakrishna Paramahansa realized what was going on in this devotee's mind. Eventually, after some struggle, this devotee touched his Ramakrishna Paramahansa's feet, and Ramakrishna lovingly accepted his devotion. So I didn't want to be in that state. Clearly, I remembered that story, and something took over my body, probably my soul, and commanded it to just hurry up and touch beloved master's feet as he was walking down the hall. I was actually relieved later that I did not do it without much thinking. I know I had this same difficulty when I used to meet other masters, and I would not touch their feet for some reason. But I was so glad that something came over and I touched his feet for the first time. I know he remembered all of us when I met him for the first time with such a beautiful smile on his face. Of course, I asked him to make a space for list that he used to have, list ABC. He told me that it's going to take some time for me. I was happy. I told him, I don't care how long it takes. Just make sure that I have a space in his list A or B or C. It didn't really matter. I asked him for initiation, and he said, come over to Bhandara in Rice Lake, and he will initiate me. So we made a plan to go to his Bhandara, registered myself to be initiated. I was, of course, like most of the people, extremely anxious while waiting in line to get his permission to get initiated. I was worried that he would say, oh, I need to come back again. Or he would say that, okay, I need to have a little more time, or I need to pay off some karma, like break a leg or hand or something like that. Fortunately, Ishwaji did not ask any such question. And he did ask, do you meditate and things like that, and then said, okay, GM approved. Fortunately, I got initiated. I was relieved. So after that, it was back to normal life, like so many of you, trying meditation. It was hard work. It was a sine curve with lots of ups and downs. What I remember, it was mostly down then up. I would wake up enthusiastically at 3 o'clock in the morning to meditate, try to chant Simran, and then sleep an hour or so later. I could feel, looking back, mind was definitely working hard. It still is working hard. Few years passed. I would, like most of you, would listen to his lecture. I would listen to his lecture mostly when I would drive somewhere, like drive to office. I've seen a lot of satsangis do that as well. But, like most of you or some of you, nothing happened to at least the extent I could see. So a couple of years passed by. I was taking prasad. So this was Bhandara event, and I was taking prasad. And he said, Jagannath, I have some work for you. Okay. I thought, okay, did I hear that right? As I was taking prasad from him. So I took a prasad, looked at him, he said something, and I just walked away. And so I'm thinking to myself, did I hear that right? Okay. If that is right, what seva did he have in mind? I thought, okay, probably, I'm a software engineer. I know computers. So probably he wants me to do some seva related to computer software. Okay, so the only thing that I could think of was, okay, he probably wanted me to make a website. So I had seen what ISHA website looked like. I thought, okay, probably this could be polished up. And so now I need to learn new skill. Now looking back, what kind of fool I was. I could not see what he was pointing at. A while back, he also visited our house. One day while driving back from office to home, I found a missing call from Ishwaji. I was actually glad that I missed that call. You might be wondering why. Because in India, there's something called missed call. I'm not talking about that kind of missed call where people give a ring and they disconnect. There's a message for the other party to call them back. So this was not a missed call like that. He had actually left a voicemail. And I would say that was the best voicemail ever left. Anybody who had left for me. And I'm pretty sure, this would be a best voicemail for anybody. I have that audio file with me now, and I can always have my personal satsang listening to that audio file. So he said in the audio that he wanted to give us a surprise and wanted to visit our beautiful home. We just couldn't believe it. Nobody can believe it. The Lord of Universe himself paying you a visit. So that was pretty emotional for us. Our minds and hearts melted at the possibility of having him over to our house and spending time. So we started cooking some plans, on the date of arrival. We booked a Land Rover for him to bring him to our house, just to reminisce about the time when he took Dalai Lama back when he was in India in Dharamshala, and he would take the Dalai Lama in Land Rover, as you might have heard him talk about that story. So we wanted to do the same thing, and we booked a Land Rover so that we could remind him of that time. So imagine, me driving in the SUV, and sitting next to you is somebody who is holding the totality of consciousness in his head. And sitting as a friend in the passenger seat next to you. So I was, of course, very nervous while driving him around. And a couple of times I actually missed the exit, and my family made a lot of fun of me, including Ishwaji. That, does he know how to drive? Are you sure he can drive? So we had been planning a bit once we had found out that he was going to be visiting us. So by then we had started to get a glimpse of, what receiving love from your beloved master felt like. So to reciprocate his love, that is devotion, we also tried to please him in our unique way, so that we could carve a small space in his heart, sort of a special place in his heart. I know a lot of people give flowers, cards, pens, gifts, chocolates. And so we wanted to do something unique for him. There was a famous Qawwali singer in Pakistan called Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, and he had sung a lot of famous songs, including this one, "Mera Piya Ghar Aaya O Ramaji." So we decided that we are going to sing this song when he came to our house, similar to this, and his master Huzur Maharaj Baba Sawan Singh Ji next to each other, and put up in a large 65-inch TV as a background image. As he stepped into our house, we played this song, Mera Piya Ghar Aaya, O Ramaji, and the whole family danced in front of him for like 30 seconds, just like kids, and made sure that he had a good laugh of it. When he was at home, he acted just like a friend, just like a father. He cracked so many jokes. He gave a lot of advices like yoga karmashu kaushalam. Whatever you do, you put your best effort, best work without thinking about the results. Do it with skill. He gave me so many advice. He told me how to delegate to others, how to care for people. You should understand that different people have different skills. Not everybody operates at the same levels. So you should know how to make best use of them. He shared a lot of stories about himself, about his business. And we asked him, as he narrated a lot of his experiences, we were so surprised. We asked him, is there anything that you don't know? Seems like you have covered everything. And his response was, his master had made him go through everything. Kya kya papad unhone nahi balwaya. So he had made sure to get him experienced in a lot of diverse things. There was a story of IS exam that he told us that he had appeared for IAS, Indian Administrative Service exam, for a couple of times, 2 times, but he could not go through. This was an extremely competitive exam. When Great Master heard about it, he told him, why don't you try again? Maybe this time you'll succeed. And on his advice, he gave the exam again. And he came 3rd rank all over India in such a competitive exam. He used to say, beloved Ishwarji used to say that when this man, Ishwarji, used to work, try himself, it never worked. But when Great Master did the work, it always worked. I was extremely fortunate that he gave me a lot of opportunity to perform seva for him. He even asked me to invest in some of his companies. He used to say, companies are just reasons for friends to be together. So for him, everything was satsang. I'm extremely fortunate to have these close interactions with him. I found love flowing from him all the time. I was surprised that how he knew, it felt like he knew me much more than I knew myself. He used to encourage for everything, like parents do, and would say, shabash. That means well done in Hindi. I could feel that like a father, he's encouraging his son. I remember a story that he told once where his master, Great Master Huzur Maharaj Baba Sawan Singh Ji, asked him to construct a road. I think this was back in Beas, because a lot of satsangis used to travel and they needed a paved road to walk on. And Ishwarji was in government positions. So he was in high government positions, actually. So it was a trivial work for him. So he got that work done. He got the road built. And Great Master was so happy. And he said that Mera rom khush ho gaya. That means every cell of his body was happy to hear that. So this is how beloved Master also used to react. I had not done anything, yet he would compliment me. He would encourage me. On his night, I remember during his 94th birthday, he was CEO of 3 companies, and he used to go to office regularly. And so we had a birthday celebration in his office. This was 23rd of November. As he was blowing candles for his 94th birthday, I was sitting next to him, and a bunch of us were gathered around him to celebrate his birthday. We asked him to ask for some wishes. Like when you blow candle, you ask the people blowing candle to ask for some wishes to be fulfilled on your birthday. So he said he had 5 wishes, and all 5 wishes were same. I could feel that he was probably referring to his 5 minds and how 5 minds had turned into asking the same thing, and probably that was merging into his beloved master Huzur Maharaj Baba Sahib Singh Ji. That was his last wish. Exactly a month after that 23rd November meeting, he passed away. So he passed away on 23rd December. So let's review, what ISHA Ji has taught us. He held monthly satsangs. The idea that we should have regular satsang is to remind our minds not to forget about our priorities in life. We get absorbed in various work, relationship matters, and desire to have a lot of objects, create attachments, and forget what is important in this life. By regularly meeting, we remind ourselves not to forget about the priorities of the life. It keeps you on track. It allows you to remember your master. Whatever activities we perform on a daily basis, like sustaining ourselves, supporting ourselves here, maintaining our relationship, these are all very temporary in nature. It all goes away at the time of death. When we die, we leave everything behind. Nobody has taken wealth, property, relationship along with them after their death. Yes, people do take their attachment with them. There's a great story of Alexander the Great. When he was sick on his deathbed, during the last hours of life, he realized that he cannot take anything with him. So he gave instructions to his generals that after his death, when his body is put in the casket, his hand should be hung outside of the casket with palms open, to remind people that even though Alexander had ruled the earth, he had an empire, he had great treasures and wealth. When he died, he left empty-handed. Mystic Kabir used to say that best place to teach spirituality was cemetery. It is even more important now that our beloved master has just left his body, and we are still in big shock due to his departure, that this is the right time for our seeking. This is a great time for our seeking because we miss his company as a master. We remember his teaching, the way he used to walk, what he used to wear, all the funny jokes he used to tell, his captivating talks. We all remember that now. So our seeking is the highest at this point. When people die, that is when people around him talk about him the most, and they think about what does it mean to have a life? What is the mystery of life? What happens when they are dead? They ask, is there a afterlife? Where does life come from? What is God? This is a story of Saint Kabir that ISHA Ji had told sometimes. There's a man who came to meet Kabir, and Kabir was not at his home at that time. His wife told him that he has gone to attend a funeral, so he should go to the cemetery and he will be able to find him. The man asked him, but I have never met Kabir. How am I going to recognize him? His wife said, oh, it's very easy because he always thinks about God. So when you go to cemetery, you'll see a man who has a halo around him, and that would be Kabir. So you should be able to recognize him pretty easily. So this man goes to cemetery to find him, but then he finds that there are a lot of people in the cemetery who are attending the funeral, and all those people also had halo around him. So he's quite surprised. When the function got over, people started walking back home. So people started walking in groups. So as they started traveling, he saw that there were still a large number of people with a halo around them. As they kept on walking, the number of people who had halo around them started going down. So it started diminishing. And after walking a bit, there was only one man standing or walking who had the halo left in him, and that was Kabir. At the time of death, according to Ishaji, at the time of death, we get our chance to reflect on the life that we have spent. We remember about all our attachment. We think, oh, I had left this work undone. I could not buy this jewelry. I could not buy this car. I could not buy this property. So these things are in top of our mind when we die. And these are the attachments, they all can be fulfilled. Almost everybody regrets at the time of death that they wished they had more time, that they wished they could finish this or that, and regret. But why regret? At the time of death, there is no time left for anyone. Everybody who is born has to die one day. A lot of saints, mystics, prophets, yogis, kings, sons of gods, rich or poor, regardless of nationality, religion, race, color, everybody dies. Whoever is born has to die. Even PLMs, who live their life just like ordinary people do, shit, shave, and shower, they die. So why postpone what is important in the life? Why regret at the time of death? Why regret later when we can recall and remember that everybody has to die one day? We don't have to watch a death to remind ourselves. This life is very temporary. If you look at the time span, if you look at human beings' life, how long they live, maybe hundreds of years, 100 years at most. If you take that in comparison to the life of this universe, it's so puny. The age of this earth probably is around 4.5 billion years. And the life of this universe after the Big Bang, according to scientific calculations, is around 14 billions. Ishaji in one of the talks talked about how there was a clock that represented the time, and at 12 o'clock at midnight, there was a Big Bang that happened. And after 1 to 4 hour mark, various energies started becoming different elements. Initially, starting with hour 1, when it was hydrogen, helium, those elements were forming. As the time passed, after hour 4, a lot of elements had been formed, 100, 118, 20, something like that. And stars and galaxies started forming. At hour 5, the Earth was formed. So this is based on National Geographic clock. At hour 5:20, man appeared on this Earth. And at 5:30, we are here. So our life, 100 year, is not even equivalent to nanosecond. We are just like bubbles in ocean. We are just like waves appearing in ocean that rise up for a few seconds and then die. Such is the age of human being, which is nothing in comparison with how long the universe has been around. Why is this important? Because human being, according to Master Ishwarji, human beings have the only chance in life to discover who they really are. They have a small window of time and small window in themselves to escape from this universe into something much, much bigger. Ishwarji used to say that we are living in a prison house. In fact, the prison house is made of several walls of prison. In fact, this body is not only a prison, but it's a shackle. He compared our body as a shackles. So we are wearing these shackles. Imagine as a serious criminal, who wear shackles, we are putting these shackles in our body. And these shackles are preventing us from going anywhere. These shackles prevent us as a human being from flying and discovering who we truly are. And yet we feel that we have this great body given to us. We stand in front of the mirror. We feel proud of our body. We stand in front of mirror and try to do makeup, try to find new hairstyle. We put on new clothes and see how good we look. In fact, body is worse than prison. It is shackles. Imagine a hardcore criminal who is in love with his shackles and he paints his shackles red. He makes sure that these are strong. That's how we feel about our body. If you are able to fly out of this body, you will realize that this body is a big obstruction. This was the message of Ishwaji, our beloved master. We are not only attached with this body, which is like a shackle, but we are also attached by all the other things like car, houses, furniture that just give comfort to our body. We are even more attached with those things. And those objects are inanimate. They are not even live. According to Master, this is our condition. And also likes the walls that shackles are attached to. When you are able to go out of this body, then you will realize why you wasted so much time. So after death, when you discover that you are still around, then you wonder why you wasted so much time in this life. What is the purpose of becoming a human being and accumulate all these things that you cannot even take back? Great mystics, prophets, saints have come time and time again and told us that there is a window open within this body, but nobody can see that window because all the windows that we see are actually outside the body or on the surface of the body, whereas where the window of escape is inside our body. This is called 10th door. According to Master Ishwaji, there are 9 doors that give us the experience of this world outside. We have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nose, 1 mouth, and 2 lower apertures. These are all external eyes, external sense perceptions. When you imagine, what eyes do you use? When a person is lying unconscious, even when their eyes may be open, he cannot see anything. So one might wonder, is there really a 10th door? Is there really any other body than this physical body? Have you ever dreamt in your sleep? Do you know what that body is? Do you remember while dreaming that your physical body is also sitting on the bed? So what does this teach us? That yes, you can have an experience of another body other than the physical body. Ishaji used to narrate this story about this Chinese philosopher Fahin. One night, he saw himself being a butterfly. He flew around the garden. He experienced being a butterfly. He did not see a butterfly. He flew around the garden. He saw beautiful flowers. When he woke up in the morning, he told his friends, I had this wonderful dream where I thought I was a butterfly and I was going around the garden. And it was such a beautiful dream. I felt that was more live. That was more live than this life I'm living. His friend said, Faheen, don't be crazy, don't be fool. You are a man. You saw a dream. You saw a butterfly. But Faheen said, no, I did not see a butterfly. I was the butterfly. Now I wonder whether that is real or this is real. What is real? Master also used to do orange juice experiment where he would ask people to imagine that their body is made of glass and it is hollow. Slowly, by pressing fingers, you could let the orange juice fill up your body and also release it. In that, a lot of people experienced that they had taste of orange juice left in their tongue, and their body was experiencing this orange juice when there was no physical orange juice. Similarly, in a lot of meditation exercises, he would ask people to imagine a room with flowers of different kind, and a lot of people experience different kind of flowers appear in their imagination. So the question is, what body was seeing those flowers? If they were imagining and they were able to see colors, they were able to see light, They were able to see different flowers, different objects, while their eyes were closed. What body was experiencing all these experiences? What was happening to the physical body? Physical body was sitting somewhere. Still, they were able to experience something else. How do you get access to these other bodies while staying in this body? So, saints and mystics have said that you can get out of this body while dying, before, before body by dying while living. Sorry, you can see me stutter. That is because of nervousness. So you can discover the truth by dying while living, by finding the window that is within you, window from which you can escape. There's a nice story about the parrot that Master used to narrate. And so there was a merchant who went to Africa to sell his spices and so on. And one time he was passing through a parrot jungle. He caught one of the parrots. He brought the parrot back to India, put him up in the cage, fed him nice food. Ishuji used to say, it's churi. It's churi and mirch. And the parrot used to love that. He used to dance, enjoy his life. Next time the merchant went to Africa, he thought, okay, he's going to go through that parrot jungle again. And he went through the jungle and he saw friends of this parrot who he had brought to India in the jungle. And he told them that his friend is having a great time. He's dancing in his cage. He's eating churi and mirch. And upon hearing this, one of the parrots just dropped dead right then and there. And the merchant thought, wow, okay, probably this must be his good friend. And he was missing him. And he could not take the loss of his friend. He could not bear the separation from his friend. So he dropped it. Anyway, so the merchant went back to India and he narrated that I was telling this other friend in Africa about you, that you were having a great time. And then he heard what was going on and he dropped dead. Upon hearing this, the guy in the cage, the parrot in the cage, also dropped dead. And merchant thought, oh, what a foolish guy I am. I knew this was going to happen because they were good friends. They could not listen about the other guy's death. Still, I told that story. That was a big mistake. Anyway, whatever has happened has happened. So he took that parrot, took it out of the cage, and threw him outside. As soon as that happened, the parrot started flying. And the merchant, of course, was surprised and asked him, oh, so you're not dead? How come? And he said, well, I'm not dead, nor is the other parrot who you met in the jungle. And he sent a message to him saying that if you want to get out of this cage, you have to die while living. So the question is, how do you find this tent door from where you can fly out and discover who you really are? This window is located behind your eyes, at the center of your eyes, between the ears. Actually, nobody is stopping us from finding this window. It is the mind that has developed its own empire because of its attachments to outside objects, that it does not want us to go inside. It does not want to let go of all the attachment. Even though we have been given this unique life as a human being where we can find this window, our mind has tied us down to all these attachments. And we live our life always chasing these attachments and do not go and seek the window of salvation inside. According to Great Master and according to Ishwaji, all these forms that we see outside, like trees, birds, insects, they have mind, they have soul, they have growth, They have the same souls that we have, but they do not possess this unique window of escape. According to some of the Indian Vedic texts, there are 84 lakh, which is 8.4 million types of life forms in this creation. And in the highest categories are 400,000, of which are angels, gods. But there is only one unique human being that can create karma, that has a seeking, and all the other life forms instinctively sort of work, and they're pre-programmed to act in certain ways. Only this human life form has this great experience of free will, and that makes you a seeker, and because of which you can escape out of this prison. According to masters, we feel we have experience of free will, that we are making our own decisions, that we can go left, we can go right, we can drink coffee, tea, or nothing. As Master himself recounted so many times, that he in fact had a story about a bhatra who had told what was going to happen in future with him. But there was an incident he recounted where a bhatra asked him for a piece of paper, and he just wrote down a few things and handed it over to Ishwaji and asked him, "Do you have another piece of paper?" He said, "Yeah, sure." And Bhatra asked him to pick a number between 1 to 10. And Ishwaji knew that, okay, this is a known trick. Most of the people pick 5. He picked 3, I think. And he asked him to write name of a flower, which most of the people pick a rose as a name of the flower, because that's a very common flower. And Ishwaji chose a different flower that used to grow in where he used to live, called chameli. And Bhatra asked him to write his date of birth, which he wrote it in a unique way. And then he asked Ishwaji to open both the papers. And Bhatra had written exactly the same things: the number, the flower, and the age, exactly. How is it possible that even before those questions were asked to Ishwaji, he was already able to give the answers? And he said to Ishwaji that he even could tell him what was going on in his mind. There were so many incidents similar to that, where somebody else had also predicted what kind of news he was going to get in next couple of months. What does this tell us? That somebody can tap into what is about to happen to you in future. What it also means is that everything is pre-recorded like a DVD. It's like a movie that exists somewhere else. And some of the yogis who know certain type of meditation can actually tap into this. Yet we feel, because of free will, that we are the one who are making all the decisions. We are trying to go left or right, or making different choices. We feel that we can act in certain ways, and we have intentions, we can pass judgment, because it is us who are doing it, and because of which we end up creating different kind of karmas. Sometimes it is good, sometimes it is bad, and the karma, all these result of these actions or intentions, get accumulated, and that becomes a basis for your next life. According to Master, he used to say, "Pehle bana pralabdh, pache bana sarir," meaning first your pralabdh karma is built, and that decides what body you are going to take. And when you have this body, then you perform some acts, and that creates another karma, or kariman karma. And this Master used to say that whenever you take a birth and perform actions, you end up creating so much karma that those karmas can in fact create 10 more lives. So we are always working, thinking, we have intentions, and we are creating so much karma that we won't be able to live those lives. So what happens so after pralabdh, whatever is left over, that's a excess karma, and that gets used up in the next life. So what happens to all the excess karma? Where is it going? So it is stored in something called a storehouse called Sanchit Karma, as a Sanchit Karma. So it is stored up there. And those are the ones that decide what's going to happen in your next life. There's a great story in Mahabharata, one of the Indian epics, where there's a king called Dhritarashtra who is blind. And he was wondering what made him blind in this life. And so he asked Sri Krishna. He told him that I have looked at my 100 past lives, and I do not know. I could not see a reason why I would be blind in this life. Sri Krishna told him, go few lives back. You had done something because of which you deserve this blindness. Master used to narrate this story about Krishna and karma. Krishna was the avatar or reincarnation of God, a realized master. When he was a small child, very young, he was a cowherd. He used to take the cow for grazing. And he had a friend called Uddhav. One day he told Uddhav that we do not really understand how karma works. Karma is relentless. And people used to say, Krishna used to say, Karman ki gat nyari hai. That means we do not understand how karma works. And he told Uddhav, look at this ant, a puny ant. This ant at one time was Brahma because of his good deeds, and at another time he was Indra. Now the same soul is back in this puny ant. So this is how the karma works. You cannot escape karma. So again, the question is, how do you find the 10th door? According to Master, you can find 10th door while living. If you can reproduce what happens to your body when death happens. So if you can figure out how death works, and if you can mimic the same thing in your body when you're alive, then you'll be able to maybe understand where do you go after death? How do you escape out of 10th door? According to Master, who had been very close to, because he had been to age, he had turned 94, and he had a lot of experience in them die. He used to tell what the process of death used to look like. He would say that awareness from your feet slowly goes away, your torso would go away. You'll feel only conscious in your head. You would not be able to feel your limbs, torso, and you would feel as if you're flying. For finding this 10th door, Master said one of the most important faculties, powers that we have been given, is power of attention to concentrate where we like. And that is the greatest gift given to us to discover who we truly are. By putting more attention, you become more aware of something and less aware of other things. When you're listening to music with different instruments like guitar, drum, flute, if you focus on a particular instrument, let's say a flute, you'll start hearing more and more of that flute and will not hear so much of the other instruments clearly. So by putting attention on something, you can actually remove attention from other things. Well, by knowing this, we should be able to put attention on the 10th door or the third eye, right? But, as a satsangi, we know how difficult it is. So I wonder why meditation is so hard. And according to Master, meditation is hard for us because we only know how to pay attention. We know how to concentrate attention. If we wanted to look at something, we pay attention to that, and we learn more about those things. And so we have been paying attention outside our whole life, whereas we don't know how to withdraw attention. Withdrawing is completely different from concentrating attention. The way according to Master Ishwaji, the way death worked was withdrawing of attention from all your different parts of the body and then taking it back to from where it was starting. That was the 10th door or the third eye. There was a story Ishuji used to tell about that story, that a man goes to Himalaya to get knowledge, and a yogi, he gets to know about a yogi that is staying in Himalaya. So he meets him and tells him to give him some mantra so that he can get higher knowledge. The yogi says, it's pretty easy. The mantra is easy. Anybody can have that. So keep chanting this mantra, abracadabra. But there's a catch. While chanting, do not think of banana. Now that is hard. You can chant abracadabra, but once the association is made that somebody told me not to think about banana, then you will inevitably are going to think about banana. Similarly, when we chant the mantras that are given by masters, because of our attachment, we always keep thinking about our attachment. Like, okay, I had this work to do, that work to do, I had to take care of the car, I had to go somewhere, buy furniture. So these things, as you are withdrawing attention from your body, because of these attachment, these take you outside. So you are not able to go inside. Because we are attached to things outside, when we sit in the meditation, our mind prevents us from going inside. So masters tell us that use the mantra, but use the mind to chant the mantra. Do not do it yourself, and do it slowly so that mind does not go outside. Masters give us different devices so that our meditation is easier. One of the devices that great Master Ishuji used to give was, imagine that you're sitting in the middle of the head, and imagine that this head is a room, and you're sitting for meditation in the middle of the room, and focus more on imagination. The more you focus being on the head and performing different things, doing different things, the more intensity with which you are involved in that act, the more you're going to get disconnected from the other world, from the other side, physically where you are present currently. During the meditation retreat, Master, of course, used to take us step by step, going through the room, sitting in a chair of imagination, of course, which was free of charge. And you can make it as posh as you want, He would ask you to imagine various things, like on your right side, there's a table with your favorite snack and drink. Imagine on your left side, there is a vase with a flower. Choose a nice carpet, make the floors really solid, make sure to jump on it, and make sure that it doesn't crumble. Makes nice drapes. What is the purpose of doing all this in your imagination? The purpose is to withdraw attention from where you are in the physical body. By imagination, by putting attention on the details, how you decorate the room, you are able to detach yourself, withdraw your attention from your physical space. And that is what meditation is about. The more you withdraw your attention, more you will feel that your sensation from your legs, torsos, hands, they get pulled, and slowly they go back to from where they were originating. And this process is same as dying. So as the awareness goes away, you feel that you are floating. At some point, you start seeing that maybe a light starts appearing, and another world starts opening to you. And according to Master Ishuji, that world is the original of this material world. This physical world is exactly a copy of that other astral world. Physical body is nothing but a cover on top of astral world. So as I said earlier, that in your imagination, with the orange juice experiment as well, you can see flowers, you can taste different things without actually physical matter being present. So that implies that you have these physical senses available to you without a physical body. And even in physical body, these senses are available to you. And this physical world that we create is nothing but a copy of a world inside, that is the astral world. And in the astral world, you can fly as much as you want, according to Master ISHA Ji. And astral world is much bigger than physical world, because in the physical world, when you have to travel, you have to walk and you have to carry this weight around. In astral world, you don't have any weight, so you can fly. You can fly a lot in short distance, in short amount of time. That is why the inner world, astral world, is much bigger, because in a given time you can travel much more. The inner world is powered by its own radiance. It does not need a light source, unlike the physical world, where you need a source of light like a bulb or like sun that shines upon the object, and that's how you see the objects. Inner world has its own brilliance. The colors, they have a pop in them. When ISHA Ji talked about his master and seeing the radiance form, why is it called radiant? It is not being lit by any other source like light. Each of the objects that you see, they have radiance of their own. They have brilliance of their own. So some of the techniques that master taught was basically, imagine that you are sitting in the middle of the room and you have different objects in your room. This is all imaginary room. On your right side, you have a table, and you have on the table you have snack, you have your favorite drink. And with all these devices, you are able to actually visualize some of these things. They become real. But at this point, you are not using physical eyes. Which eyes are you using then? That means you have capacity to see. And the capacity to see is present in the astral body. You're not using any physical eyes, because in meditation, your eyes are closed and you are just imagining. So these eyes, or inner eyes, or the capacity to see per se, is present in the astral body. Physical body is just a layer on top of it. In fact, astral and physical bodies are operating at the same time. In fact, I remember this story about a great doctor. A patient of his had lost an arm. I think he was in army, a war veteran. He had lost his arm. And this patient had developed an itch to scratch the missing arm. And he was getting this feeling that he needed to scratch it. And he went to the doctor and said, "Doctor, I have this feeling to scratch this, but I don't know how I can scratch because I don't have the hand." Yet he was having this feeling, and doctor was really puzzled. But he was a psychologist as well, and he devised some clever approach by making use of mirrors and tricking the patient's mind to think that, okay, he still has a hand, and then he was able to physically scratch it. And after that, he was able to get cured. And similarly, with the orange juice experiment, you see that you don't need a physical juice or a physical nose, to smell. All these sense perceptions are built inside the body, and these are built in the astral body itself. When you meditate in the astral body and meditate in the head of the astral body and sit behind the eyes, that astral body you're sitting in the astral body, and if you sit in the astral body, you have astral eyes, you can imagine, because it's a body. And you can also imagine that you are sitting in the astral head, and that is again of the shape of the dome. And if you sit in there, you can also locate the 10th door in the astral body and then fly into causal body. According to master, causal body or universal mind is the one that creates everything in time and space. Master used to say that there is a movie called Inception, that sort of depicted how this creation happened, where people go through dream sequences to create more and more time and another level of creation. A few seconds of lifetime in one higher level can create hundreds of years of physical time in the lower level. That reminds me of a famous joke. A man prayed a lot to a god and asked, God, please give me millions of dollars. Millions of dollars is nothing for you. It's just like few dollars to you. And God said, sure, just wait for a few seconds. There are two more levels of creation according to Master ISHA Ji. It's called Parbrahm and Sachkhand. And according to Master Sant Mat, starts from Parbrahm. Many masters can teach you how to do meditation, go into up to the causal level, or even Parbrahm. But to go from Parbrahm, that is individuated soul, to totality of consciousness, you need someone who is already one with totality of consciousness, and he's operating from Sachkhand. And he's the only one who can take you back there. According to ISHA Ji, we have pre-written script to meet a perfect living master who can become our true friend and give us unconditional love, a love that is truly unique in this world. He used to give example that even if a disciple says, I hate you, he would still love them. If they love you, of course, he would love them. If he says, I will kill you, he would still love them. I used to wonder about this. It sort of makes sense if you think that if you are the creator, if you're the person who has written this script, let's say as a script writer, you are writing a thriller, wouldn't you want to see how each of the characters are played out? Wouldn't you put a lot of details in each of the, even including the evil character? Why would you hate your evil character that you yourself have created to create this thriller novel? Without the evil character, there won't be anything for hero to do. So yes, it sort of makes sense when these perfect living masters come into human life and they express and they show unconditional love, regardless of how these other characters, his disciples, behave with them. Because perfect living masters are one with totality. And all the characters are his creation. Why would he not love the characters? Perfect living masters take us beyond the mind through love and devotion. They shower us with so much unconditional love, and we cannot but show our devotion to them. Master ISHA Ji used to give an analogy of how difficult it is to go from Paran. He used to say, it is extremely dark. You start from one place and you think you are going in the right direction, but you still find that, okay, you come back to the same place. It is the light of perfect living masters that can help us cross this darkness. A master used to say that love and devotion takes you far. Meditation is just for the mind, but love and devotion is for the soul. The spiritual path is about love and devotion. Meditation is nothing but like using thermometer. You don't get fever by meditation. You only check how much fever you have. In meditation, you can check how much inner progress you have made. You don't make much progress by meditation. He used to equate meditation to an ant trying to climb a mountain. You can make much faster progress by love and devotion of master. He used to give example of one of the satsangis named Hira Singh, who also got initiated by Huzur Maharaj Sawan Singh Ji. At one time, ISHA Ji visited India with some of the folks in USA, and Hira Singh at that point was giving satsang. And when he saw ISHA Ji and his group arrive, he stopped the discourse and asked everybody to leave. ISHA Ji told him, no, first finish your lecture, discourse, and then we'll talk about other things. And so he said, discourse finished, and people left after that. A lot of people started asking Master ISHA Ji different questions. And ISHA Ji, of course, replied to them. At the end, Hira Singh asked Master that he was initiated just like him, just like Master Ishwaji, and he had been meditating for last 40 years. He had been meditating 2.5 hours every day, just as Great Master asked him to. And he had been vegetarian and he had followed everything that Great Master asked him. But surprisingly, he had not experienced much. However, it seemed like Ishwaji had experienced much more because he was giving a lot of answers of Satsangi's questions and seemed like he had experienced something. And why is it so? How come Ishwaji was able to experience much more and why he was not able to experience much? So Ishwaji said, okay, if you had this difficulty, why didn't you ask your master when he was alive? And he said, yeah, he did ask. And Great Master had answered him, do your meditation with love and devotion. So Ishwaji asked him, so what happened? He said, nothing happened. I did not experience anything. Did you ask other masters? Yes, I did other masters as well. What did they say? They also said the same thing. Do your meditation with love and devotion. So Ishwaji asked, so what do you want from me? He said, well, I want you to ask Great Master why I'm not getting experience. Ishwaji said, well, Great Master is really busy. I have to get appointment from him and I can't ask him right now. Maybe I'll ask him and I'll give you an answer back in 6 months. So Ishwaji meets him in 6 months and tells him that, yes, I have an answer for you. And the answer was same. Do your meditation with love and devotion. And then Ishwaji had to tell him that you forgot the part love and devotion. You had been meditating. That's when Hira Singh realized the mistake he had been making. He did not pay attention to the love and devotion part. And then he meditated. In the next 6 months, he made more progress than the last 40 years. Master Ishwaji used to say that initiation by perfect living master is the best thing that can happen in somebody's life. Master holds his hand, Master holds the disciple's hands and becomes his friend and makes a commitment to travel with him till Sachkhand. I remember a story that Master used to tell that there was a king who was extremely generous and kind. He used to check on his subjects. So to check, basically, he will in the middle of the night he would walk out and see how his subjects were doing. And so one day he saw there was a woodcutter who used to cut wood. So the king was he wanted to help him. And so he went to him and said, hey, woodcutter, I know this king, so if you meet him, you can have everything in life. And woodcutter said, of course, you would be that king. I don't believe you for a moment. If you want to help me at all, you should cut wood just like me. And the king realized that, okay, he's not going to believe him. So he started cutting wood with him. After a few days, they became good friends. And they would cut the wood together. And then the king told him that, hey, I know this guard in the palace. He can actually show where the palace is. Maybe we should go there. Then by then, the king had become good friend of this woodcutter. So he came along, met the guard, and the guard showed him where the palace is. And the friend was really happy. They went back, cut more woods. After some time, this king told him that, hey, the guard is willing to let us go close to the palace. Do you want to go and see the palace? Let's go and see the palace. Next time they went, they were able to get closer to the palace. And this friend was really impressed. Wow, this friend, woodcutter, has great access. Now they go back, cut more woods. At some point, he said that, hey, I know the minister in the palace, and he said that he can show us the throne much closer. Do you want to go and check it out? By then, of course, the woodcutter had realized that, okay, this guy has some access. I don't know what, but seems like, whatever he says comes true. So let's go. They go and meet the minister, and he showed them, okay, this is where the throne is. This is where the king sits. Now the king gets up and goes there and sits on the throne and says, welcome. And woodcutter is surprised. He says, why didn't you tell me before that you are the king? And of course, king says, I've been trying to tell you from the beginning that I'm the king, but you would not believe me. I think same is our situation. If God were to come before us, if totality of consciousness were to come before us and say that, yes, they hold the totality of consciousness, are we going to believe them? Of course not. We are never going to believe it. So that's why they live just like us. They become our friend. They show unconditional love. They show a lot of trust on us. And that's why we become close to them. And that's how he takes us back. It is said that even a glance from perfect living master, which is called drishti, as opposed to darshan, is considered a very big in spiritual advancement. There's a famous story of Narad Muni, where Narad Muni saw that there was some saint who had come, and a lot of people in the village were running up to meet him. So Narad Muni was puzzled. Why is it? What is the benefit of seeing a master? He's just like a human being. So he wanted to get an answer. So he asked Brahmaji in his meditation, Brahmaji, what is the point of seeing a physical being, a master? Is there anything to be gained? Brahmaji said, well, do this. There's a pond next to that village. There's a snake in the pond. Go and ask that snake the same question. He's going to give you an answer. Narad Muni goes to this pond. There's a snake on the pond. He lifts his hood up. Narad Muni asks this question, Mr. Snake, what is the point of having a darshan of a master? At this question, snake just dropped right then and there. Narad Muni was surprised. Wow, snake died. He didn't even give me a reply. Anyway, Narad Muni goes back to his meditation, asks Brahmaji, Brahmaji, this is what happened. The snake died. Brahmaji told him, oh, really? Okay, why don't you do this? There's a village a little far away. There's a goldsmith there, and he has a parrot in his backyard. Go and ask that parrot, Mr. Parrot, please tell me, what is the point of having the darshan of a master? At this, parrot just dropped dead right then and there. Narad Muni was surprised again. He was actually scared at that point. Narad Muni again goes to meditation and meets Brahmaji and tells him what happened. Brahmaji told him, oh, really? That happened? Okay, don't worry. Go to this other remote village. There's a king over there. In that palace, his wife has given birth to a boy. Go and ask that boy. Narad Muni goes to that village, asks for a king. Narad Muni at this point is worried. He thinks that whatever unfortunate event had happened so far, with snake dying and parrot dying, that may be okay. But if that same fate happened to this boy, of course the king is going to kill him. So he was very, very, he wasn't sure whether he should be asking that. So anyway, Brahmaji had asked him to ask the king. So he meets the king. King is extremely happy to see him. He asks the king whether his wife had given birth to a boy, and if it was possible for him to ask some questions of the boy. And king is very happy that Narad Muni himself had paid the boy the visit. So Narad Muni gets to meet the boy and ask the boy the same question. What is the point of having a darshan of a master. At that, boy says, Narad Muniji, I am the same snake who you had met in the pond, and I am the same parrot who you saw earlier. You are not a saint or a Mahatma, you are just a yogi. By having one darshan of you, I was able to leave this body as a snake, and I was able to take birth in the higher species as parrot. With another darshan of you, I was able to pay off karma as a parrot and took birth as a boy. You are just a yogi, and yet I had such a result. The result of seeing a master, a perfect living master, is 1,000 times more. Sometimes some lucky souls do get enlightenment by grace of PLM. There's another story of King Pipa that Master Ishwaji used to narrate about. There's this King Pipa who used to stay in a palace, and next to the palace there was a saint called Ravidas, who was a cobbler, used to stay. He used to mend his shoes. King Pipa requested a lot of times to Saint Ravidas to come and stay in his palace. Saint Ravidas used to say that it is his karma to be cobbler and he cannot move to the palace. Anyway, one day King Pipa had this great desire to know the truth. At 3 o'clock in the morning, he went outside the palace to King Ravidas's hut. And at the time he was repairing some shoes, he saw the king and said, King, why are you here? You should have called me. I would have come and met you. King said that, no, I'm not here as a king. I'm just here as a truth seeker. Please give me some grace. Please give me some of those Charnamrit. So Ravidas said, sure, I'll give you some Charnamrit. And he had a water in a small pot. He took a leather, he dipped the leather in the pot, and then took out some water, holy water, and then gave it to the king. King bowed in front of the master and took some water in his hand. And because the water was so dirty, he just let it slip out of his hand, and it went into his shirt. And king said, thank you, master. And then he went back to his palace and saw that his shirt was soiled with this dirty water. He said, oh my God, people are going to find out. I need to get this shirt clean as soon as possible. So he ordered the washerman to be woken up, and he gave his shirt to be washed, and the shirt needs to come back in a couple of hours. So washerman woke up and he asked his young daughter to take care of the stains. So young daughter, started chewing on the shirt because it was dirty, and so she thought, okay, she can make it soft by chewing. And then she started chewing on the shirt. As she was chewing the stain, she started getting experience of higher regions. And by morning, she started talking about higher regions and started giving satsang. And the word spread. And king heard of this young girl who suddenly appeared from nowhere and started giving these lectures. So king decided to pay her a visit. On seeing him, she started to thank the king. King was surprised that he didn't do anything. Then she said that she got the enlightenment by chewing on the shirt that the king gave. King realized his mistake. He ran back to the Saint Ravidas and asked for that Charnamrit again. Saint said that these graces happen once in a while. You were a true seeker at that time when you came, and you did not come as a king, but as a seeker of knowledge, and the grace was given to you. I would like to congratulate those of you who have had chance to meet Ishwaji and got initiated. Master always said, seek inside and seek till you have the true knowledge and you are totally satisfied. If you're not satisfied, keep on seeking. The master is one who is one with totality, and he knows what is in your heart. And that is by definition. If he is one with totality, he would know what is in your heart. And totality includes you as well. He hears the cries of souls who are seeking salvation and are wanting to go back home. That is why he takes different forms and returns again and again to take their marked soul back home. Seek and you will find, was the Master Ishu Puri's message. Since today is Valentine's Day's Eve, and Valentine's Day is probably in some of the countries, so I would recommend meditation and offer him your love and devotion. Even if it is 5 minutes of expressing your love and devotion, that is good, as Ishuji used to say. Sometimes he used to say that just go into your meditation room in your head and tell your master that you are present. Attend to the roll call. Actually, the whole life needs to be around remembering master. 2.5 hours of meditation and 21.5 hours of doing other things.